AITA for not wearing my hair the way my girlfriend wanted me to for her graduation? My 20m hair is locked. I'm Trinidadian American and my hair represents my culture and pride in it. My locks are about halfway down my back. My girlfriend, 21F, is white and her family is very traditional. She asked me to pull my hair up for her graduation today, so as not to offend her parents and grandparents. I wore my hair as I normally do at the ceremony, down. When we went to her house afterward, her grandpa said that shouldn't no man have hair longer than a woman. I told him I was sorry that he felt that way but that I was proud of my hair. I've had my locks since I was 7. She looked at me like I told you so but her grandpa's comments didn't bother me. It was more her discomfort with my hair that did it. AITA for not wearing my hair up as she asked. Edit, my hair wasn't in my face or anything, still neat and everything. Seemingly 90% of the time, when people want you to change or hide something because other people wouldn't like it, the problem is really that they don't like it and don't want to admit it. 9.99% of the time they actually don't mind outside of the concern, but they're still kinda wrong for trying to force their soul, usually to hide themselves rather than forcing their family, usually it's family members, to be respectful about whatever the thing in question is. Yep, I smelled some racism in there. Even if GF is unaware, she needs to be made aware before she says something like that to a coworker and gets hauled into HR. Even this US military doesn't pull this shit anymore because they were sued for their ridiculous rules policing what black hairstyles were acceptable, often requiring chemical straightening of women's hair on the basis of professionalism, neat appearance, and military readiness. What BS. Very happy it's changed. Edit, if you don't know what I'm talking about, here's a handy primer on black hair by John Oliver. Unfortunately, she probably doesn't have an issue with his hair, but probably does have a vocal, potentially pushy and probably judgmental family, supported by the comment about length of hair. She was probably trying to spare off the comments, and likely herself an earful about it later. Personally I say nah, except the grandfather. This is a minor issue, but it does indicate the potential for some in-law appeasing, some of which will likely have a bigger impact. Participant 1, she was asking him to make his hair look more appropriate because she, too, thought that it looked more acceptable. I'm married to a man with hair halfway down his back. Neither of us are black. But the remark Op's girlfriend's grandfather made, that long hair is inappropriate for men, is quite familiar. I don't think Op is Tahir, the girlfriend's grandfather is. However, I think Op's locks are a red herring in this story. The issue is the length of his hair. Op's girlfriend's family probably would have looked askance at any man with long hair. His girlfriend probably does like his hair, but they are both young and she is probably also concerned about how her family will react to the man she is dating. If he had somehow been able to wear it in a style that looked more conventionally masculine to her family, then she wouldn't have to worry about them jumping to conclusions about what he's like, and them giving her a hard time about his hair. Again, I don't think he was the asshole for not going along with her request. I can't even imagine what he could have done to his hair that would have worked here anyway. But to think he should give his girlfriend the benefit of the doubt, it might not be that she isn't uncomfortable. It was the girlfriend's job to explain to her family the cultural significance of BF's locks, and why they're important to him. It's understandable they didn't know. If they're good people, they would say something along the lines of how interesting, thanks for telling us. But crap, we really owe him an apology for what we said before. Don't we? If they say something else, it's her job to defend him, not to be smug and excuse their BS. In any case, shouldn't be asking him to change to please them. NTA, one islander, I'm Haitian, to another, stop dating white women who fetishize you and can't respect your culture. Trust me, I've seen too many friends go down that path. It could never ends well. Either they basically turn their back on their culture and shun it, or realize too late how much they've compromised for a person who can't and won't acknowledge an important part of their heritage or culture. Participant 1, I am a white woman who is married to a non-white man. It's disgusting how many white women, and men, just expect their non-white partners to assimilate onto white norms. I refuse to call it culture as it is not. You are anti-A. And honestly, you need to look carefully at the woman you are with. At the very least, she needs to do some serious learning on the white supremacy she is supporting. I guarantee she sees herself as an anti-racist. She is not. Colorectal surgeon, 33. I agree with this. I'd have a serious talk with her about you two continuing a future together. Is she going to let you talk to your children about continuing the tradition, or even let them think about growing their own out, if her family deems it improper? This definitely seems to have some deeper issues that will come up in the long run if you have a family with your GF. At top, anti-A. Participant, 3, anti-A. There are several people here asking why OP wouldn't compromise, that the GF was well-meaning. I respectfully disagree. I think the issue with her asking this of him is that it's not just hair, and it is therefore not just a small thing. The broader societal context of this request is black people facing criticism for cultural hairstyles and getting told these styles are unprofessional or inappropriate. This was a request to contain some of his blackness to make him more palatable to her white relatives. It is absolutely offensive and shouldn't be compared to a small change. A small change is, hey, how about this blue tie instead of the red one? Not, can you tuck away parts of your identity from my racist, sexist family? If she had asked you to cut your hair, that would have been outrageous. I assume she wanted you to pull your hair up in a ponytail. I've seen lots of men and women with locks do that for work or more formal occasions. You were meeting your girlfriend's folks, whom you knew were more conservative. I don't think that was too much of an imposition. This was the very first time you were meeting them, and it was your GF's graduation. That's a family occasion. The focus was supposed to be on her, and she didn't want to invite more discord than necessary. Week 8. I can't tell you how many times I've been asked to wear my hair a certain way for something or other. Work at a restaurant, hair up ... wedding, up, down, half up. I don't think it's ridiculous to ask someone to look more formal with a temporary change. Dyeing, cutting, etc. is another story. My partner's idea of formal and mine are quite different. I found being specific, GF asking for hair up in this case, helps with expectations and everyone being happier. I can't believe this comment is so far down. It seems like such a simple request from a significant other, and you're 100% right. The focus should be on her graduation day. She knew that his hair could cause an obviously minimal but still stressful issue with her family, and she wanted to minimize that and enjoy a very important day in her life with no drama. All she asked was that he tie his hair up for a short period of time. While I obviously can't agree with her family having any sort of issue with long hair, not even locks, she has absolutely no control over that and clearly loves him for who he is. Added to the apparent lack of a heads up that he was not going to do as she asked, Weekta seconded. I'd frankly be questioning my relationship if my boyfriend wasn't willing to make such a small accommodation to avoid causing an issue on one of the most important days of my life. Info. Did you tell her you were going to wear your hair down at the graduation after she asked you to wear it up? Edit. OP hasn't responded, so I'll share my opinion. This thread has resulted in a pretty clear anti-A, but I don't agree. If OP did not tell his girlfriend that he would still be wearing his hair down after being explicitly asked not to, then ESH. The girlfriend is tough for obvious reasons that everyone has already explained, and her family as well. OP is tough because he was clearly asked to wear his hair up and wore it down anyways, knowing that it would make his girlfriend upset at her graduation. This is a problem that needed to be solved before the graduation, not at it. It's an issue of communication. She's your girlfriend, not some random on the street. If you don't want to do something she asks you to do, you should tell her you're not going to do it and at least try to explain why. That's not to say she would have been reasonable even after you explained. She might not have, and you might have had a big argument with her demanding that you wear your hair up, Or maybe she would have been reasonable, and she would have stood up to her family after you explained to her how important your hair is to you. No one can force you to wear your hair up, but that doesn't give you the right to lie by omission to your girlfriend. It doesn't seem like you two even like each other very much. Info. What is the cultural significance of wearing them down? How did she ask you to wear them? In my mind, I'm imagining she asked you to put your locks in a ponytail or something to make it look more formal, or like you put more effort into it for a special occasion. I also have no idea how locks are formed or maintained or anything like that, and I also am unsure how it pertains to your culture. For me, it would be clear and tee up if she asked you to cut them or otherwise modify them, but I don't know why pulling them back is such a big deal. Wow, that's gross of her. Her asking you that shows that she will never be a true ally to you or defend her culture. She basically said, it's easier for me for you to grin and bear my family's racist, sexist behaviors than it is for me to correct them on it. She'd rather you be uncomfortable and deal with racism than have to deal with her family possibly being upset with her for correcting them. You should receive better from a partner than that. Edit to add judgment. AITA. Your girlfriend is giving you lucky signals that she isn't the one for you. Might want to think on that here. Someone who truly loved you for the way you are most likely wouldn't suggest that. Someone who agreed with their family or was embarrassed of you might. The best thing to do is to take some time praying to your higher power or nature or whoever, and then really think about it. You can live with this, or if you're willing to set the GF free to be her judgmental self. Not except for Grandpa. No matter how Op wears his hair, there is no getting around his ethnicity without extra details or background. The comment from Grandpa sounded more at issue with boys having long hair rather than Op having locks specifically. It didn't sound like the girlfriend was really that upset that he didn't listen to her request, but she knew her grandpa would take issue with it, and maybe she just didn't want to deal with the extra drama on her graduation day. That doesn't make her a horrible person. There is a time and place to make a stand, and this was not it. Unfortunately, Grandpa is probably not going to change his point of view overnight, unless Grandpa's comments are actually racially motivated. Sometimes you just have to let the little things go and keep the peace when it comes to family. I'm going with nah. You shouldn't have to change your hair because someone told you to. Also, if you give in now, then you will always have to do it. I think you were right to wear your hair your normal way. That being said, I don't really know how your girlfriend grew up or her family dynamics. I feel like I can kind of relate. Maybe that makes me a nah too. My grandparents are insanely conservative. My parents are less so, and they honestly taught us at a young age to withhold information and to change behaviors in order to please my grandparents. And honestly, it's difficult to unlearn. I noticed it extend to myself. I wanted him to change his behavior and withhold information. I think you probably should have made it clear before the event that you were going to wear your hair your normal way. It's literally graduation. It would be one thing if she asked when you were meeting her family one-on-one, although still an asshole move but at least understandable, but it's literally a graduation ceremony for the whole class. There's such a huge variety of appearances: guys with long hair, people with dreads, girls with short hair, dyed hair, piercings and tattoos, etc. And you cannot dictate what everyone wears on account of someone being offended. It's your celebration too, and it's ridiculous and a really weird thing to try to control. Definitely anti-A. Edit. I misread your post and assumed it was like high school graduation or something and was confused. Sorry. Still anti-A. Anti-A. It's your hair, not hers. Just ignore it and go with the hair like that. I was born in Brazil, but I understand you. Your culture is, and always will be, part of you. It seems like that story of the pregnant woman who wanted the window seat on the plane. Don't care about them. Do what you want. Dress the way you want. It seems like our entitled parents. As a 28-am who's had locks since I was 19, I used to and still get the same comments from mainly my mom. Just like you, I feel very strongly about my dreads and wouldn't cut them or arrange them for anyone, as long as they are neat, 'cause I know how it can get. you're all good to go. Make sure you speak to your partner because this is who you are, and if she can't accept that, then well, I say this only because I have been in your exact shoes and will still not back down. AITA et al. Dread. AITA, I understand it's a cultural thing as Op stated, and I respect that. In some cultures, men grow their hair long for whatever symbolic reasons. In some parts of the country that my relatives are from, not only do boys, men wear their hair long, they also get tattooed when they reach a certain age or milestone. So both having long hair and having tattoos are often seen, viewed as taboo or looked down upon by other people. It's not to be rebellious or anything like that. It's part of heritage and culture. I'm confused why Op's girlfriend couldn't educate herself on the significance of why Op has his hair a certain way, since he was 7, and maybe take that into consideration instead of asking Op to put his hair up. I'm stating this because this is what Op said. ... It was more her discomfort with my hair that did it. My hair wasn't in my face or anything, still neat and everything. ... Shouldn't your loved one, aka your girlfriend, be more accepting of who you are instead of being embarrassed by how you have your hair done and such? Shouldn't she show more support? If not, then I don't see how this relationship could continue. I mean, Op is already, in some way, also trying to defend his GF's actions and making those actions question himself. What else then when she asks for Op to cut his hair? Hair is hair. It's sad that people will find such a thing offensive, especially if it's worn a certain way because of heritage and cultural reasons. AITA, long locks are awesome. You keep them tidy, so I don't get it. I find it amusing when various people say they like certain traditional whatever. Go back far enough and it's a different tradition. I mean, think about the powdered long hair wigs Jefferson and Washington wore, or the long braided or flowing hair of the Celts. Hell, this fight over long hair was a thing in the 70s. Her grandfather can't accept change, and that's not your fault. AITA, old white Americans believe men should have short hair and women should have long hair. I don't think there's any intentional racism here. She's young and hasn't learned yet to not cater her behavior to the norms of older generations. She was trying to protect you from being insulted as the party she invited you to, but also protect herself reputation more by not embracing you and your culture in front of her family and confronting her grandpa. If her grandpa's comment didn't bug you, then I think there's no harm. Victim here. Hopefully she learns to stand up for her partner from this. Trinidadian Australian here. I don't know how your relationship is generally, but honestly that behavior is unacceptable. There is nothing offensive about your hair and you shouldn't have to hide or change it to make others happy, and she shouldn't be asking you to. My partner just researched hairdressers that know how to properly do black hair because they are in very short supply down under, and I gave up after numerous disasters at typical hairdressers. I've had a lot of people insult and grab my hair because it's different, and I would not put up with that behavior from my partner. If you have kids, is she going to raise them to think their hair is a problem? Because that's a deal breaker for me. I'm black as well. When you date outside of your culture, this is what you get sometimes. You've made the choice to do this. You know exactly what this is, but you're here either trying to hear that this isn't what you think it is or to somehow excuse this behavior. That's what you really want, right? You want this to be excused so that you can maintain your integrity while continuing to date her. Well, that is not how this works. You can be self-deluded if you want. AITA for not changing your hair, but how? Because you know exactly what's going on here. You and I both know that. AITA, I was an elementary teacher for 30 years. My students loved to run into my room in the morning and tell me if someone dyed their hair blue, got a mohawk, decided to shave off all their hair to go bald, etc. My comment was always the same: what a cool hairdo. I told my students how they wore their hair was their choice. It's their hair after all. I only worried about dirty hair or hair that had lice. It's a shame that some adults have so many hang-ups about hair. To paraphrase Patrick Henry, give me liberty to fix my own damn hair. AITA, your girlfriend's grandpa is a sexist old bat. If your girlfriend also had a problem with your hair, she should have just discussed it with you instead of using her family as an excuse to change your hair, or she must have wanted you to make a good impression on her family, but either way, Auntie A.